international bankers run it all, don't
They
they?
didn't run it all.
I mean, if the international bankers wanted to destroy the Chinese economy, could they do this?
Oh, they do it overnight. Why you think, how do you think in 20 years they got all this technology? They didn't come up on this technology on their own.
Right.
See, what people fail to understand, they have no context of history. Listen, when the Greeks were running around being barbarians, what do you think they got all the architect of the designs for geometry and trigonometry to build those temples there? They had to go where? They had to go to Egypt. Alexander to study under those folks, and people began to, since Greece was backwoods, they said, oh, we could use some people as cheap labor. So they gave them the technology, they taught those folks, and da-da-da-da-da. That's what got Greece on their feet. They had to go to places of learning. Well, the same thing here. Bankers went into Greece because it was virgin forest, had a lot of gold and tin mines. Well, China was cheap labor. They said, okay, we can go in there and we'll give them these type of, give them the technology. They didn't know jack. They didn't train them in our university.
So are the international bankers, the people that really run the world, are they through with America?
Well, that's they have, what they intend to do is use America as a bulwark to establish a new world order, whereby you eliminate all nations. You have one world, like the UN govern all nations, and we're governed by in regions. But the main power would be in a world body.
I said I didn't want to ask this question so early in the show, but I have to go with it now. If the dollar, if the dollar collapses or continues to decline, will they create a new currency to replace the dollar as the medium of exchange all over the world?
Well, you probably would. I'd say this: before Obama finishes 4 years, you'll probably either have a banking holiday and a devaluing the dollar. If you put in dollar devaluation 1971 and 1972, once Nixon took us off the gold standard for convertibility, nations at that time, prior to that time, if they had a surplus, they would ask, a nation for gold. They wouldn't take paper. Like, for instance, France would have a $50 billion surplus with the United States. They said, United States, they would come, de Gaulle would say, well, listen, I want gold. I don't want no paper. Well, what happened was they had printed so many dollars that they didn't have enough gold to back it, and Rockefeller told Nixon, say, hey, cut it off. So they cut it off.
Because they printed so many dollars.
They printed so many dollars.
They had enough gold to back the dollars, so they had to come off the gold standard.
And they had to come off the gold standard for its trading partner. So what happened was in December 1972, they devalued the dollar 8%. In December, and then February of 1973, they devalued another 10%. So the dollar in the 70s, the dollar was devalued about 20%.
In the 70s.
In the 1970s. Well, most people don't have no history of the history of economics. They don't teach it. And they don't want the people to know about it, because if people ever find out about it, they would be up in arms.
They'd be burning down Wall Street instead of D.C.
Wall Street and D.C. They would not take the type of, because, in plain simple term, everybody is a sharecropper. As far as they're concerned.
I talk to the young kids.
Wage slaves.
I talk to young children in schools all the time. And I think the average American doesn't understand is the average American, meaning almost 90% of us, make under 100,000. Actually, most of us make under 50,000 a year. All demographics, all races, all cultures. Most of us are just sharecroppers. We're commoners.
That's it.
And so I'm saying we don't really understand this economic system that we're in.
No, we don't. And see, and I tell people there's no shame in getting declared bankruptcy. Chrysler declared bankruptcy, GM declared bankruptcy. So why should you, if you don't put yourself through,
and start all over again.
Start all over. Get professional help. And that's it.
Caller, you're next on Viewpoint Live. Caller.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Dr. Lee, it's Frank. How are you?
Hey there, fine. How you doing?
I just wanted to say God bless you. I just wanted to let the public know what a great man you are, and that you're a dear friend, and that people are brainwashed and they have no clue what's going on, because the system that comes against us is so evil. They even have a Tavistock Institute since 1920 that brainwashes people. And what they do is they create the race wars between the blacks and the whites, and it's a shame.
That's the Tavistock Institute, right?
Yeah, and it's been since 1920. Yeah. And Dr. Lee, I got a book off of him, The Committee of 300, and it goes over how these guys have brainwashed, and they have institutes to brainwash the people, to cause race wars, to bring down economies, and to kill presidents like John Kennedy, who wanted to do something for the people and ended up with a bullet in his head. So if Barack Obama decides to do something for the people, they will kill him, and he knows that. and he's not going to go against this because he knows what the verdict is, death.
Frank, thank you for those sobering comments.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. They love you. Dr. Warren, let's take another phone call. Caller, you're next on Viewpoint Live. Go right ahead.
Hey, good evening.
What's up?
Hello. Hey, I just want to thank Dr. Warren for spiritually opening our eyes for those who have an ear to hear. You are dead on point, sir, and I pray for you and your family always, because not only are you giving us the carnal side of things, but you're showing us the spiritual remedy to everything. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell all your family and friends he'll be on the computer. He's on the computer right now. You type in Dr. Lee Warren and send those videos out, because people need to know this stuff.
Oh, yeah, you need to do it. You need to circulate those videos and take whatever precaution you can, especially against the health flu and other things that's here, the finance and everything.
So this is public access here in Chicago. How come I don't see you on CNN and CBS and all them other shows?
Well, you know, those things, those information is censored. I mean, ABC, NBC, I mean, none of this stuff is censored. I mean, those are primarily, you know, should I say, focused for people 40 years and older. My mother and everything. Most young people, matter of fact, that's what they have it with the newspapers, print, and TV. Most young people say under 30, 35.
Yeah.
On the internet. They don't even read the news, even news. That's a joke.
Right.
And in 5 or 10 years, I don't know where those folks will be. I mean, they're going to be hard pressed to suppress the truth since the invention of the internet.
See, that's what they scare me when they're going to try to control the internet, raise the price on it. I said, you're scaring me, because without the internet, people like you that information wouldn't get out there.
Very few information. Matter of fact, without the internet, you wouldn't know nothing about 9/11 except for the official view of that.
Caller, you're next on Viewpoint Live.
My name's Temple. That be Robert X?
No Robert X tonight. Who you want to talk to?
Hotep, brother. How you doing?
What's up? Go right ahead with your question.
Good. Listen, you know, I wholeheartedly concur with the good doctor. And as you know, Brother Mark, some of us have been talking about these things for more than 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Wait. This is the great Robert X. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. This is when you gonna come on the show? Come on down here and do a TV show, man.
Dr. Warren can probably tell you better than I can. I don't do media. It's sometimes some of us have to work underground while others work above ground. And
Robert
so
X, Robert X is in the underground. He is the underground. Go right ahead, man.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say, Dr. Warren, to get your viewpoint on this whole. You've accurately predicted, as some of the rest of us have who do the research, because I think it's important for people to understand that much of what we say comes from the research, and that the economic system that they're getting ready to put in place now is going to be injurious to everybody all over the planet.
That's right.
And I want you to speak to the main institutions, such as the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland, which happens to be one of the places where many of the swine flu or chemical and biological manufacturing concerns, the apex of that thing sits in Basel, Switzerland, which controls the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank, which is going to, in fact, feed the Federal Reserve as we speak. And the other thing I want you to speak to is the nature of this swine flu and the fact that, based on what I just said, with the Novartis being headquartered in Basel, Switzerland, along with the Bank of International Settlements, they call it the Tower of Babel. That's what they call that bank. That's the old Nazi bank. But I want you to kind of address the chemical and biological relationships in terms of the swine flu, and that the vaccine manufacturers have direct relationships with the military industrial/pharmaceutical complex, and that the same people who are coming up with the diseases are in fact coming up with the vaccines, i.e. Novartis, GlaxoSmithKline, and many of the rest of those gangsters.
You're absolutely right. I mean, what you're dealing with is you got two things. The Bank of International Settlement, it controls every country in the world has a central bank that creates the money. Very few countries do. Politicians of the country does not control the bank. Bank of England is independent from the bank of from the government. Same thing in Germany. All these banks are independently, and they are controlled basically by the Bank of International. It's called BIS in Switzerland.